Crank up the volume and get ready for real-world bird hunting by listening to the Wingmen Podcast by Eastman's. Now your host, Todd Helms.
Hey guys, this episode of the Wingmen Podcast is brought to you by Sitka Gear. And we've been partnered with Sitka for, 4 years, 5 years now, since the beginning. We've been wearing Sitka Gear, and you guys have heard me talk about Sitka Gear on and off and sing their praises. But what I wanted to do is explain to you exactly why I'm a believer in Sitka Gear and what it's done for me as a waterfowler. First of all, I grew up wearing hand-me-down clothes, wearing that stuff in the 80s and 90s where I was always wet. I was always cold. And so having good, high-quality gear that keeps me in the field until I'm ready to go home is vital. And it's just super important, and I appreciate it so much. And the folks over at Sitka just build the single best waterfowl clothing on the planet. The fit, the performance, every single piece is thought out perfectly, and it is performance driven. I think back to some of the hunts that we do out here just last season, as a matter of fact, hunting at 21 below zero on a late season goose and duck hunt. I was able to stay out there long enough in the field that I harvested my dream bird, which was a Drake pintail. That was using Sitka's boreal setup, both the parka, both the jacket, and the bibs. That stuff is built for the late season. But there's more to, obviously, Sitka's waterfowl setup or Sitka's waterfowl system, I should say, than just simply cold weather. I look at the Delta system, and it is designed to keep you dry even in the early season when it's warm and you might be working up a big sweat walking into your spot. That system's going to breathe, and it's going to keep you dry from the outside while also ventilating you from the inside. I've seen it on cold days. I've seen this exact thing happen with when I'm layered up with the Sitka gear. I start with either a synthetic or their merino base, and then I put on, a lot of times I'll just put on like either a soft shell or a puffy vest, and then either a soft shell or a puffy on top. The Dakota hoodie is one of my favorite pieces, but I've also used some pieces that are no longer in production, which is a high mountain hoodie. But I've seen the moisture get pulled off my skin through the layers and actually freeze as ice particles and frost particles on the outside of the clothing. Now what that's doing is it's telling me that sweat that I worked up in the morning going into my spot is getting sucked away from my skin, keeping me warm and keeping me dry and keeping me in the blind hunting birds. Awesome. Hey guys, welcome to episode number 71 of the Wingmen Podcast. Pretty sure that's the number we're on, but I've got Cody McCarthy with Slayer Calls and among other things. I'll let him tell you more about that. But Cody, we've been trying to do this for a few weeks, man. We finally got to sit down and chat. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thanks for being on.
You too, man. Hey, thank you so much for having me. I can't thank you enough. This is an awesome opportunity, and just can't wait to talk about the good stuff with you. How's everything going?
Good. Yeah, we kind of were visiting a little bit before the podcast got started, and we actually missed a podcast recording because you and I were both out running around doing other things, and we got sidetracked, and that's family life, that's one thing that you and I one more thing that you and I have in common, other than how much we love anything you can call in, whether it's waterfowl or elk. We are both committed, diehard family men.
Yeah, we're super dads.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Well, try. I try.
Yeah, no, yeah, shoot. Yeah, see, you probably do better than me. I got 3 little girls, and I got my youngest one is teething on the duck call right now. The oldest one's getting ready to where we might have her compete in the World Elk Calling Contest in the boys division. She gets real fired up about that. And the middle one, we're just getting into. She's just really starting to figure out how to shoot her BB gun or pellet gun and all of her bows and arrows. And so, yeah, it's really fun. But, during the holidays, they love when coming home and seeing the birds and watching me clean them and, going through the whole deal, the preparation and the eating them and how excited that gets. And, it's just a fun thing. Being a dad is the best thing, and just thank God for the opportunity. And, they're obviously number one. I'm thankful to have a wife that blessed me with those kids, and then that loves to do all the same things with me. So, all glory to God, and thank you so much for, having us on here and allowing me to share a little bit of my life with you guys.
No, absolutely, man. You said it very well. Glory to God. And we couldn't do this. I know I couldn't do this without my support at home.
Absolutely not.
There's
Absolutely
no way.
not.
We run around, you and I are both in the same boat, where we run around filming stuff and making a living doing this, and top of our regular jobs. I know you in the call factory at Slayer and me here at Eastman's, but run us through what you do at Slayer and what Slayer is for people who don't know.
So awesome. Yeah, this is an awesome question. So really cool thing is I'm still fairly young. So and like I said, I have a super supportive wife and kids. But so my main day job, I'm a certified strength and conditioning specialist. So I run 5 gyms that are all, whether I'm training someone that's rehab, getting ready for a knee replacement, or I'm training someone, that's, just drawing an elk tag and needs to get in elk shape. I have a pretty good, clientele that's, hunting related and then rehab related. And so that's where a majority of my time is spent. But with Slayer, this was a great opportunity that came. Bill Ayers, the CEO, we kind of hit it off. He's a great guy. We share the same, everyone in Slayer was all at one point a Division I athlete. We were all football players. He played at University of California, Berkeley. I played football at Eastern Washington University. My dad played on the first year of the blue turf at Boise State. So we're all like extremely, and we all played linebacker. So we're all extremely focused, driven, super competitive. So we take all that performance-based stuff that we learned through athletics, and we apply it to the calls, and constantly asking ourselves, like, what, when we're out hunting, doing what we love, and never letting the call side of things never ever do we let it impede why we do what we do. Right? The hunting, the fishing, the spending time in the outdoors, watching the sun come up, go down, hearing that elk bugle, those mallards setting in, the turkeys spitting and drumming at 20 yards. Like, that's why we do what we do. We do it to put, youth out in the blind, our wives, our friends, like the first timers. Like, that's why we do it. We truly love it. So we never, ever let, business or anything like that really take away from why we do what we do. But at Slayer, last year we were Field and Stream's top double reed duck call. So we've had some success with the waterfowl calls. Just recently we designed a new cut down duck call and a new open bore ranger duck call, which is called the Ranger, which is an open bore duck call for, hunting a river, your refuge, lot louder. We have the cut down now that is extremely loud, extremely sharp. Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, hey, this is a good person to have on. This is the guy that makes the calls.
Oh, awesome. Well, this is fortuitous.
Hey, Todd, this is my dad, Joe McCarthy.
Hey, Joe, nice to meet you.
Oh, hey, how are you?
So he's
Good.
the one that actually makes all of our elk diaphragms and
stuff cool.
Like that.
Yeah. I just was on a conference call too. We're going to start doing a little more work with our frames to try to, there's some things, a lot of companies have problems with slippage, and we're trying to do some things to make our calls last longer than the average. I mean, I think right now we are lasting longer than the average call, but we'd like to try to make that even better.
Well, that's just a little insight of what we're doing on kind of a daily basis of the hustle of Slayer. Like we're constantly working, trying to make the next best great product. So yeah, like I said, we're working on the we're working on getting our cut down. We just released that. We have our open bore Ranger duck call. It's new for this year. We also have a really new awesome whistle. That's like
I saw that.
Oh man, it is awesome. It's
Whistler's Mother. I mean, what a name.
Yeah, and it really, I mean, from doing like the, because with the standard, whistles, you get obviously your drag gear, you get your widgeon, but now like that pintail is really that. Oh, it sounds so good, and then you can do the wood duck, so. I mean, it's really we're putting together things that hunters, because we're all hunters, and so we're putting together like calls that truly work in the field and that we've tested hours on, and we've had great success with. Now, with waterfowl season's kind of wrapping up this next month, we're shifting all of our gears into turkeys. Turkeys is a really big thing for me. I love hunting turkeys. Killed my first turkey, I think when I was 7, with sitting in my dad's lap, and it's been something that I've been able to do a lot living in northern Idaho and playing football in eastern Washington, like being able to hunt turkeys. And so we have really a lot of new cool turkey calls coming out that are all handmade, work awesome. About to put out a bunch of videos tomorrow on that. And then rolling into the elk stuff, obviously that's my bread and butter, being the world, the former world elk calling champion, it's that's kind of my bread and butter. And that's where I really, think that we can make a big splash because, you have a J-frame cut down, or J-frame style call, you have a cut down call, you have a mouth diaphragm turkey call, you have box call, slate call, push button call. Like those are all proven and successful. But what we have in the elk world is integrating diaphragm calls with push buttons, or first like the external calls that you have that are bugling related. We've kind of blended the two there, a very versatile lineup of elk calls, so we're really pushing the limits there on elk, and we have some really cool stuff coming that, you guys will be sure the first to know about it when it's released. But, as far as Slayer goes, we have a great marketing team, that a couple gals that are absolutely badasses. They do a phenomenal job for us, and then obviously my dad, Bill, we really think we have a strong team. And the thing that makes us different is we want people to succeed, and we don't want to sacrifice any kind of quality of product. We don't want to sacrifice things for competition's sake. In a very competitive market in the hunting industry, you and I both know that some things can be very saturated, and some things can, there's not much information on. It's highly competitive, and so we want to be able to bridge the gap and really educate and teach everything that we know without ever holding anything back. I mean, we are as honest as you can get. We pride ourselves in having great customer service and great products, and so that's Slayer.
That's cool, man. The first introduction that I had to Slayer calls was last year at Hunt Expo. I'd heard of Slayer, but I'd never had a chance to see the calls or hear them in the real world or get my hands on any. And then last year at Hunt Expo, of course, you guys were the only duck call, waterfowl call company there. And, it's a big game show is pretty much what it is, the Western Hunt Expo.
And to be 100% honest with you, that's where I met Bill.
Oh, really?
Was at that show. And so everything that that they had, there at that show from the time that we started as far as elk goes. So you think about when that show is, it's in February.
Yeah.
The end of, basically the beginning of March till, all through all the different shows, the shoots, getting things developed. We did all that in 3 months.
Well, you and I were on the phone texting and calling back and forth, and you were sending me prototypes, different things from duck calls to elk calls. I was able to get my hands. You sent me the new bugle that you guys put together
Archangel
last
bugle
year.
tube. Yeah.
That Archangel bugle tube. I was actually I used that last fall on a personal hunt for a buddy, and I screamed in 2 different bulls from the same set. We killed them both
Awesome.
in one night with that tube. It was just one of those deals where it was just kind of meant to be that we had a young man there and called the first bull in, and the dad shot it because the kid didn't have a shot. And then we're standing there kind of celebrating, and it's another bull starts bugling to come into the set that I just made.
Wow.
And I said, well, let's kill this one too. And he comes running in, and the kid shot that one. And they laid 150 yards apart, dead on top of the ridge.
You guys are tough.
Yeah, it was a long night. Put it that way. That was a long night.
I know that we've done that together with my dad, where he bugled an elk and bugling a bull for my dad probably 5 years ago. And he comes in, he shoots it at like 12, 13 yards. Well, then as that bull runs off, the other bull that was kind of dogging him runs right in front of my mom and my dad, and they chase, like that bull chases that shot bull down, ends up getting, like, the bull lays down to die, and the other bull that was chasing him gets him, starts hammering him, flipping his head. It was one of the coolest things ever. Like, watching that, and we're like, wow. Should we shoot that? And it was like, my mom just had a knee replacement.
No.
It was just me and my dad were 2 elk, and we're like, we're pretty tough, but I don't think we're
There's a
tough.
difference between being tough and stupid, and sometimes I think I border on that. I walk that line real close sometimes.
And I feel like I don't know how many times that we've got ourselves in that situation where it's like, that's not that steep. And then we kind of second guess, like, well, is he close? And you bugle one more time, and he bugles a little closer, and kind of like that all sense of, your sense and common sense just goes out the window. You're like, we're bumbles. We'll bounce down the hill. It's no big deal. Go shoot the thing that's like, oh, I should have done more. I should have spent more time on the Stairmaster.
Yeah,
geez, good Lord.
You're not kidding. You're not kidding.
But that's all good fun, and that's why we do it, and that's why we train.
No, you're absolutely right, and it's that time of year where everybody's starting to think about training again already for next year.
That's I know. I'm pretty lucky, because that's all I think about on a daily basis.
I'm with you. I try to stay in as good a shape as I can. It gets harder. I don't know how old you are.
20.
I'm 44. And it gets harder every year to maintain that physical conditioning.
Exactly.
Little things get you, like a nagging knee or shoulder or an abdominal pull. I fought one of those since July last year.
Well, if you're like us, I've had 4 shoulder reconstructions, 2 hip reconstructions, 6 knee surgeries. Probably need one on my neck. My dad's had, I don't know how many shoulder surgeries. He's torn his ACL, needs hip surgery. My dad's 55. He trains every day like a son of a gun. Bill needs surgeries, from playing football. So, we all played at a high level. So, waking up with that, like, oh, but hey, we still have fun. And, honestly, and like, it's kind of like I tell people, it's like, the hardest sport I think to do was wrestling, actually, like competitive wrestling, when you have to literally fight someone your exact same size for 2 minutes or 3 minutes around, and literally it's your max repetitions. It's the same thing. It's like you can train, but nothing you can do can really prepare you to put a very heavy load on your back. That's, not necessarily the most comfortable, no matter how good a pack you have. It's awkward. You're climbing over deadfalls, going uphill, going downhill, down, and just to turn around and do it again. And so, there's just that time and point where, you kind of have to have that mindset where it's just like, you know what? I love doing hard things every day. And I think that's what makes what we do so fun. It's the dragging a sled in through mud and going through knee deep mud for half mile that you're just absolutely just sweating your what off, and setting decoys just to shoot your 14 ducks to turn around and hump back through it, or and that's kind of the reason why it's kind of what separates. You do something fun, you get that accomplishment, and if it was easy, everyone would do it, and that's another mentality quote that we have from Slayers. Like, if it was easy, everyone would do it. Like, we're more than willing to embrace all the crappy stuff that this industry and everything has to entail, because we know that at the end of the day, it's just work, and it might be hard and it might suck, but hey, we're gonna get through it and we're gonna do it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I was thinking about that the other day. I threw the Renegades in the sled and a handful of Federal shells and my rest of my stuff, and it was threw on my waders and away we went, and and you're sweating your butt off getting down to the blind, and it's 15 degrees, but you're sweating like crazy getting down there, and then you got to layer upright with the right clothes so you don't die while you're down there. Oh man. Yeah. But I'm with you. I absolutely love it. It's been awesome to see the success that you guys have fostered. I've been keeping track. Like I said, you and I have been keeping tabs with each other on and off a little bit here and there, and you guys are killing it, man. I love it. So you talk about when you first met the Slayer guys at Hunt Expo. Same thing for me. That was where I first saw them, and I was like, man, those are really good sounding calls. I like those. I like the way they looked. I played with them a little bit. Was kind of like, wow. How did you get connected with them? We glossed over the fact that you are a former world champion elk caller. I mean, best of the best. How did you get hooked up with Slayer calls from just meeting them?
Well, and here's the crazy thing is my dad placed 4th this year in the World Elk Calling Contest. So he was a top finisher as well. And so you have my dad and I, when we had honestly been making calls. My dad has been making calls for a while now, and we've been playing around with, making our own. And so, what attracted me in is, I like everybody, I love calls, and I'm just infatuated with everything that has to do with it. And, the first time that I actually met Bill, and I pride myself as being a pretty accomplished waterfowl caller, and I could blow their calls, but I struggled. I put way too much air into the call, and I couldn't get. I could ring it, but like in a hunting situation, I'd really have trouble. And so basically, me having done it for quite a while, as far as I've really figured out the call, basically the anatomy of the call, what works, what doesn't work, from just trial and error over the years. That works with elk calls and different tubes and goose calls and turkey calls. Like, I can go through and figure out what works and what doesn't work. And talking to Bill, and Bill having that receptive mindset of like, like, well, tell me what could we do to improve, and not being prideful in himself.
Sure.
Which to me was like a guy, and the guy. I mean, he could honestly been like, "You're just a dipshit. You don't know any different." Right? Honestly.
Yeah, no,
But, like,
absolutely.
and I wasn't being like, but he could see that I really wanted to, I was looking at it and everything like that. And, he just he has that inquisitive mind of, what can we do? And so then since, we've figured out, and obviously that call, I can make it work and still this day. And, I do enjoy blowing it. It sounds awesome, but since then, him and I have been able to kind of feed off each other. I've learned, I don't know how much from Bill, him teaching me, the business side, the, manufacturing side, the, things that you don't think about, and I've learned so much from him. I've learned so much from Jen and Lisa. My dad has too. I've learned a lot from my dad. My dad's learned a lot. We've really just clicked. And I don't know if it's just that athlete mentality, where you always want to, improve. And
you have that in common with those guys, and I think anybody that you have common ground with is just, they're easier to work with.
And if you've ever talked to Bill, he's just the nicest guy in the world. He's a very successful person. And he's a successful person because he cares and he's kind. He's very nice. He's respectful. And for someone like me, I want to surround myself with people like that. And so for me, it was kind of a no-brainer situation. It was easy. Things just flowed. Like when I call him, random times, like, hey, I got $1 million idea. Here we go. Blah, 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 and let him have it. And then he's like, yeah, we can work on that. And there's certain things. And that like me constantly thinking and him constantly thinking, we were constantly able to bounce ideas off each other and keep improving. And now we've come out with a whistle and 2 new duck calls. Our spec call is awesome. Our goose call, the guts are great. Sounds awesome. And to be able to improve, like my struggle was just like a lot of people, when you're hunting like I do, where you're hunting refuge, river, open water, you're hunting high traveling, migrating ducks, you need a call that will ring. You need a call that will, have that rasp, have that high end, have that volume to get out there at those ducks. And we've done that. I mean, it's been proven this year to be extremely successful. And then to say, hey, a lot of people want to cut down. I personally love blowing cut down duck calls. And to say, hey, let's make one. And to go through and, go through and, learn from the people before the, Lauren Westons of the world, the 1968 Stuttgart champion who was friends with my grandfather, because my grandfather had duck clubs and used to guide at Salvies Island in Oregon. Wow. Literally took a call apart from 1968 where it was all made of wood and it was all handcrafted. And it was, that was back in the days where you'd cut up a credit card to your student ID for a read. Now we're blessed with Mylar and CNC cutting and everything like that, where we have so much more technological stuff. So we can take something and take our ideas and blend it in together and make it work. And then take a sample that we get and not just blow it in the house, but take it out and kill ducks with it. That's what we do. We take our stuff, take it out in the field, go, does it work? Dunk it in the water. It's freezing outside. It's, how can we fix this call? Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Here we go. And it's constantly, it's like we put all of our products through that ringer that we need and that most people go through. Does your calls freeze when you're walking in, half mile in a swamp and everything's wet and you go to blow it? Like, we want it to work. We want the call to be function muddy. We want the call to, function, perfect every time. And so we really pride ourselves in that, like, true product development and making a really solid product that works. And, we're lucky because, my dad's retired, Bill's, we kind of retired because he did the Slayer thing, but
Sure.
they can go out and say, hey, no, this works good. And here's the proof in the pudding. It's right here. These are public land ducks that are, we have to get it. Like last time we went duck hunting, we get to the boat ramp at 2:00 in the morning. My coolant system's all frozen up in my motor, so we have to take the cowling off. Things like I got a gasket that's, cold and broken, and now I'm, leaking a little bit of gas. And so trying to fix that with, tape and get down to the ramp, start a fire, put up the decoys, still got 3 hours to shoot in light, doing everything. Like, we're hustling public land, and so, like, our calls work and they're proven. And it's the same thing at elk hunting. Like, we don't want that. We don't want that opportunity. A lot of people can walk through the woods and bump an elk and shoot it. We want that bull to come into to me. I want that bull, and I don't want just the 55-yard broadside shot of it chasing the cow. I want that bull to come to me. And so being able to use our calls, different tactics, learn everything, always learning, always figuring out, gosh, what would make life a little bit easier? What would make life easier for a solo hunter? What would make life easier for, the DIY backcountry, over the counter, cutting holes in his underwear to trim weight, hunter? There's guys out there like that. And what would make that easier for what can we do to make life easier for them? What could we do to make life easier for, the older or the young, the team calling? Like, how can, like, those are all things that we're thinking about. And those are all things that when we're developing our calls, they have to pass on those tests.
Hey gang, going to take a break and bring you a word from our sponsors. Hey guys, this episode of the Wingmen Podcast is brought to you by Leupold Optics. And I've been running the Leupold Performance Eyewear, aka the sunglasses, for, about 2 years now. And I've worn a lot of brands of eyewear over the years, obviously as a hunter and a shooter, but also as a fly fishing guide and someone who just spends a lot of time in the outdoors. And I was super impressed right out of the gate with the Leupold Performance Eyewear. I like the switchback frame the best. I've got a couple different lens colors in that. I've got like an amber lens and a gray lens or a smoke lens for bright conditions, and the amber's kind of my all-around. I find myself wearing that lens all the time. I really like the contrast that lens provides. I've worn all kinds of different sunglasses from every top brand out there, and the Leupold Performance Eyewear is number one, hands down for me. If you guys got to check them out. You can go on leupold.com and look at all the different styles and offerings. And I would encourage you to do that. They have a fit module on there. You can actually like superimpose. I don't know. This is crazy space age technology where they can superimpose that frame over your face. You can kind of see what it looks like. At least they used to have that. I think they still do. But my point is this. Leupold Performance Eyewear helps me perform in all kinds of conditions in the field. Those sunglasses help cut glare in those, especially, those times when you're setting up and for a waterfowl hunt, especially, and the wind's perfect. And the only way that you can set up correctly with the wind is you're either maybe not looking directly into the sun, but you're looking kind of crosswise, and it's right in your eyes. It's really hard to pick out shots. It's really hard to pick out birds in those scenarios. And a good quality good quality pair of sunglasses helps mitigate that. And the Leupold Performance Eyewear ones, especially, man, that in those situations for me, I like that amber lens. It cuts the glare, cuts the shine just enough and still lets me have great color pop. So I can tell drakes from hens in those situations. I can tell roosters from hens if I'm pheasant hunting. I don't know how many times pheasant hunting in early morning or evening and a bird gets up right into the sun and you're practically blinded. And with those performance eyewear from Leupold, it just helps me make a difference. So if you're in the market for a new pair of sunglasses, man, I would highly, highly recommend the Leupold Performance Eyewear. Check them out at leupold.com and give me some feedback too. Let me know what you think. If you try a pair, I think you're going to be really pleased.
Yeah, it shows just looking at you and listening to your voice. This is your passion, that is what you are passionate about. I can tell, and I love seeing it, man. I absolutely love seeing it.
Well, my passion really has always been helping people. I think that's why I made such a good football player, because I would put, others in front of myself, and you learn that true team bonding. You learn that, that self-sacrifice. You learn those things. And what really makes me happy is watching my kids open presents on Christmas, being able to take my wife out to a nice dinner, to be able to help a person that's been in pain for years be out of pain, to be able to see a kid get a college scholarship from just a little bit of hard work, to be able to take a call and sell it to somebody and know that it's money back guaranteed and backed with the best customer service you can give, and watch them be successful. I mean, that's what makes it. And that's what makes us different than some people in the hunting industry. Is we want to help people. We want to make a product that we can stand behind. Me as a man and my family, we can stand behind and say, I will help you. If you have trouble with this, I will teach you. If I can't teach you, I'll recommend one. Even if I don't make it, I'll recommend one. Because as a student, we're constantly always learning, and I tell people all the time, they ask, they're like, well, I blow Phelps, I blow the Maverick call or the pink Phelps elk diaphragm. I'm like, you know what? I love Dirk. I've known Dirk all my life. We're from Orfino. We're all from Orfino. Corey, Rocky, Dirk, we're all from the same spot. And, Dirk's older brother, Lance, is one of my hunted elk with him for years. He's one of my dad's great friends. And if our product doesn't work, I love the fact that my friends are in the same industry as me. I absolutely love it. That's what it's about. Now, if I can do something that helps somebody, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to continue to do it. And I have passion for it. And I think I have a knowledge for it. And I want to put my best foot out there. So, there's competition out there with all the different duck call manufacturers and turkey call manufacturers and elk call manufacturers, but we don't see it like that. We see it as we see the main picture, that we have more people that want hunting to end and so we don't see the point in turning on each other when it's already such, like, we're already speaking the same language and believe the same thing.
We're all on the same team.
Yeah, we are.
And that's what kind of gets me from time to time, is as hunters, we can be our own worst enemies.
Exactly.
We're competitive with each other. You do it different than me, so I don't like you, or that guy's a jerk because he's like this. When in reality, we are all on the same team in this. Yeah. And when a house divided cannot stand, and we are facing more and greater and more sophisticated attacks on hunting right now than we ever have before. And if we don't get it together, our kids won't have it. We might not have it in another 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Exactly. And that's the whole mission. And so when we make a product, we stand behind it. But if you don't like it, then don't use it.
Sure.
Plain and simple. Plain and simple.
I think that's a great attitude, man. I really do.
We want people to be successful. We want people to use our products. But most importantly, we want to keep the sport going. We want to keep the sport alive. We want to keep the tradition and the love. And, people talk about, the mental health topic is something that is huge, especially with, wounded veterans and, different people like in law enforcement and fire and EMS, dispatch, the hard corporate jobs, the stresses that we put on. Hunting is such a great outlet because it gets you outside. It has nothing to do about killing stuff. I want to make that clear. It gets you outside. It gets you involved physically. It challenges you mentally. It challenges you spiritually. And it gives you an opportunity to connect with something outside of your daily struggles, because we all have those. And so that's what makes it so awesome. And that's why we do it. Like, I want to be able to give everyone the exact information that I have in my head. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world by any means. I'm not the best elk hunter. I'm not the best duck hunter. I'll never be that, ever. But I'm going to continue to try. I've had success. I've had a lot of success. I've had a lot of success in a lot of different opportunities, in a lot of different settings. And so I take that for what it is. It's a fact. And I want to share what I know as far as calling. But I also am never going to close my ears off and go, that guy's a dipshit. I don't, I listen to everybody. What they have to say matters, because I'm never done learning. I'm never I'm not done shaping who I am as a person, shaping the person that God meant me to be. He put me on this earth for a purpose, and that purpose is to serve him. And so I will never put myself in front of him. And so I'm going to continue always learning, always growing, always getting better, always striving to be the best person I can be. And hunting is a great outlet for me to speak my feelings, my emotions, what I know, what I don't know, and make someone's life better. Because we've seen it all. We've seen, the hunts, like you have the black rifle, what they do for the veterans. And we've seen what they do and the looks on people's faces and the emotions of those veterans that need that. And that's why we do it. My dad goes out and hunts and helps with the Outfitters for Hope that Corey Jacobson does. And he goes out there and they cook for him and help scout and stuff like that. But see a kid like that come in, who can't walk, they're carrying him, and have success. Like, that's why you do it. 100%. That's why you do it. And I think that we get caught up in, as hunters, we get caught up in the, puffing our chests out to each other, and it's like, I don't care if you shoot a spike, you shoot a cow, you shoot a hen, you shoot a hooded merganser. I don't care. You shoot a Jake. Like, that's awesome. That's an opportunity that you have to be outside and have success. And to me, that's awesome. And I will never, ever look down on somebody for shooting a cow, shooting a spike, shooting a hooded merganser. You're like, I love that. Like, as long as you eat it, and good luck with that, because those
Yeah.
things are, save the bass.
Yeah. The dogs might end up getting the mergansers. I'm just,
As long
I shot a merganser last year, end of the season type deal, and we got 5. I don't know what you guys are because you're Pacific Flyway there.
7.
We're Central Flyway here, so we get five mallards, 2 hens, and we get a bonus, right?
Yeah.
And you're usually looking for like a widgeon or a teal but every now and then that bonus is a golden eye or it's a common merganser, it's something like that. So I may or may not have swatted one last year, and
that's all good.
You forget when that dog runs out. Dog doesn't care. Dog runs out, fetches bird, brings it back. Not only did the dog enjoy itself, but you forget they're a cool looking bird.
They really are.
They really are. They are a neat looking bird. I took it home like all my birds, and I have 2 little girls and a little boy, and my little girls especially, thought that was the neatest bird. They're used to seeing lots of geese, lots of mallards, but you bring home a duck like that's out of the ordinary, and they're like, whoa! They probably played with that thing for 2 days before I cut it up and cooked it. And fed it
for
to
sure.
The dogs.
That's for real, and coming from, we can shoot seven ducks. We can shoot 7 mallards if we want. We can only shoot 2 hens, but we have that opportunity, and still, like, if I see a Drake spoonbill, it's getting whacked. I love them things. I think they're awesome. Ringnecks, I think are awesome. I think they're all super cool. Granted, it's so cool to have the.
Well, some of them, like you said, man, some of them are better eating than others, but they're all cool.
They're all cool, and there's always a way to eat them, and like he said, they all make sausage. So
yep, that's true.
That's
true. Words of wisdom from your dad.
Yeah, and so growing up, in northern Idaho, I mean, we have the Barrows goldeneye up there, and so we can shoot the Barrows, and we can shoot the canvasbacks and the redheads, and canvasback to me will always be the coolest duck in the universe. I think they're just the king of all ducks, and the Drake pintails, and I love them all, and that's where I'm very lucky living in Idaho to be able to shoot a snow goose, shoot a Drake sprig, shoot a friggin' Drake canvasback, Drake mallards, teal. I mean, we can do it all.
Yep.
And it's amazing, and we're so lucky. And and another thing that's really cool living in Idaho is we can shoot Rios, we can shoot Easterns, and we can shoot Merriams.
That's
in the
cool.
same state. In the same state.
That's super cool.
We can, and it's because the National Wild Turkey Federation has taken and transplanted Rios and Easterns, and the mountain turkey here has always been the Merriam. And so what's really cool is be out there in the mountains and hear a Merriam gobble versus an Eastern gobble.
Oh, it's night and day.
And then they cross, so we get kind of hybrid turkeys. And a lot of Eastern Rio mixes.
Okay.
And I'd say we probably have more Rios than we do obviously Easterns and Merriams. The Merriams are in the mountain regions, the higher elevations, and they're just a tough turkey, but we can shoot all 3 of them in Idaho, and we can shoot mule deer and whitetail. I mean, the fact is my wife killed a 172-inch mule deer, and my dad killed a 168-inch whitetail in the same year.
Wow.
I mean, we have a really awesome state that we live in that we're able to do so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we kind of got talking a little bit before I hit record about how the hunting's been. It's completely shut down not completely shut down, but we got that big cold snap here that the rest of the country got, and it iced up our rivers really bad. Our birds didn't leave. We got a big push. Actually, have more birds now than we did, but my ducks anyway are completely nocturnal. They're feeding completely at night, especially now that the weather's gotten warm again, and there's too much ice in the river to safely hunt it. Like it'd be a death sentence to put a dog in there. It really would. Not to mention there's just no place to set decoys or anything like that. So
yeah, well, the dogs are just as important. I mean, I know that.
Oh yeah.
Hunting in those, putting the dog through. Yeah, it's not worth it to me. It's not worth it.
No, I hear you. What do you guys have going there right now? What are you looking at for hunts?
We still have quite a few birds.
Okay.
We have quite a few birds. We have a lot of geese. The issue is obviously our river hunting is kind of, the birds are spread back out in the little water, little sloughs. We obviously have, the Treasure Valley that is large, and every little subdivision has a pond or a canal, or so those birds spread out. But we can still find them. It takes time. It takes time to find them and find a pocket of birds you can hunt. Traveling a little bit, but we can still get after them. Like you said, hunting, first thing in the morning or that last hour of light, when they're coming back. A lot of our birds have gone nocturnal, but you kind of catch the very front end of the push in the evening, and you kind of have the birds that mill around first thing in the morning. But when it's warm and there's no wind, they spread out. So it's duck hunting is all about location. Like, it doesn't really matter what call you use or whatever. You got to be where the birds want to be, and you just got to find a pocket of birds. If you find a pocket of birds, being smart with your birds, shooting when you can, letting them come back. Not, if you're hunting, let's say a pond, you don't want to shoot in a group of 80 ducks.
Right. Right.
You want them to come back in 2s and 3s, and just playing that game. So I'd say that's kind of where we're at. Looking forward to getting back out and getting some scouting and getting, finding some birds. We're lucky our river we didn't see a lot of ice in our river, but all of our smaller, I guess, some of our smaller rivers kind of froze, but the Snake River, obviously is flowing. So we did pretty well there. And so now we're just kind of back at, trying to find birds. There's some spots that, that we hunt on the river that, may take a little bit longer to get to, but you kind of find that pocket of birds that fly where they're feeding and they're coming back, and it's not as far, but you're just hunting a different bird. You're not hunting a town bird or, one of the big migrating flocks. You're just finding kind of a small pocket of birds where they're hitting, the water here, the feed here, and they're just kind of jumping back and forth. The issue that we're having right now too is a lot of our fields have, they're flooded, and so birds are piling up in the fields. And so then it takes, trying to find the permission and do that. And, that in today's day and age is tough.
It's hard everywhere you go. It's not just, certain areas.
Yeah. And, it's one thing for, an outfitter or a guide, to lease up some land, because that's their livelihood, and they're able to take people out and get them into the sport, and that's all great. But, when you have, a 16-year-old kid asking for permission, and you have a land and I'll take 10 grand from you, or $1,000 a day. Like, you 16-year-old kid can't do that.
Right.
I can't do that. And so, it kind of takes it away, but, there's still opportunity. just like anything, you just gotta go a little farther and a little deeper, just like an elk.
Yeah, exactly. Just like elk. It was interesting what you said about finding little groups of birds. That's my favorite way to hunt this time of year, is to scout, put in the time, the windshield time, and find like a little hot pond or a little spring-fed creek that's got a handful of birds using it. Not 1,000 or 5,000 birds using it, but maybe 150, 200, maybe 50. Enough where I know I'm going to be able to go and maybe take me and one guy, and we're going to go down. It's going to be simple. We'll be able to take turns picking out drakes and shoot our 10 ducks, go home. I love that.
12 decoys and your dog and your buddy, and go out there and shoot them. And the thing is
shoot them with 410s.
There's been, that's really cool. Shooting with 20s, 28s. We have all those, but I just, no matter what it is, no matter if we're hunting the best spot ever or the worst spot ever, we want to shoot ducks at 10, 15 yards.
Yep, I hear you.
We want to shoot them. We want that bird. We want to be able to work the bird, call them in the right way. And another topic too that I think people are getting kind of lost on is, it's becoming the whole racy thing, like whatever looks cool and acts cool and this call and that call. And it's like, what people are really missing is the real art of duck calling. It's an art. You don't have to make the best sounds. And it's the same exact thing with turkeys, with wolves, with coyotes, with anything you can call. It's timing. It's being able to read the situation that you're in and make a call, whether it's the best in the world or, average. It's the art of doing it. It's the timing. And to me, that's the coolest thing, is when, you see a bird and it's flying, its wing beats are one way, you call at it, its wing beats change, it reacts, it does something else, it's coming into you, its wing beats pick back up again, you hit another note, its wing beats change, it cuts a little lower. It's the same thing with calling anything, and that's where I really love doing what we do. Like, if we kill 5 mallard ducks, and they came in and backpedaled and went exactly where we said they were going to, that's a win.
Yeah.
Versus, going out there with 8 guys and pass shooting and losing a half dozen birds and crippling and putting your dog through, the ringer. We want to be able to, we could probably shoot a lot more birds that way, and our dogs are all qualified enough to, run those marks and run those lines, and they're trained well enough that we can do that, and we have to ask them to do it at times. But it's the fact of our dogs make simple retrieves, multiple doubles, triples, blinds. We run them. They do exactly what we want them to do. But it's our job as hunters is to call the ducks to where we expect them to be shot, and not set up this situation where we're going to put our dogs in jeopardy. We're going to put, we're going to sail a bunch of birds and lose a bunch. I mean, happens to everybody. We lose birds, but we do our best to make sure that, we take some of those variables out. If it's the difference between hunting right on the X in, an opportunity, in a spot that we can't safely navigate a dog, navigate shooters, then we won't do it. And that's the really cool thing, is we have choices and we can make those choices. And, success is all relative when it comes to, a lot of guys want to shoot 7, for in our 5-year case, 7 for us, all drake mallards, and, line them all up for a pretty picture. But, that happens, but that's not majority of people, I don't want people to think when they listen to this podcast to think that I don't love that, because I absolutely do love that. It's so amazing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, you don't have to
but-
even say that statement, dude. We would be lying if we said, "Oh no,
Yeah.
it's not about shooting limits," or "Oh, it's not about
Yeah.
that." No, it is. It is. But there's more to it than that.
Yeah, and it's being able to say, this is my definition of success.
Right.
My definition of success is going out there with people that I love, or people that are new, and sharing a blind, sharing the conversation, sharing the stories, sharing the struggles, sharing the every little thing that goes into it. A couple years ago, took my wife out, and some kids had slept there overnight, so we lost our spot, and so we go out and found this other spot and go out there, and I think we shot 4 ducks short of our limit. Shot 10 ducks, and just to be out there in the sun was hitting the mountain, the canyon real pretty, and turn a song on the phone, and I just danced with my wife with our waders on in the river, and it was the coolest damn thing I've ever seen duck hunting. Being able to shoot ducks and spend that time with my wife and have that memory. And I mean, that's why we do it. We do it for those memories, the times where, we're chasing an elk, and, my wife we're sitting down the hill, and, tired and miles deep, and no way in hell are we going to shoot that elk, because it's 6 ridges over now. And, but just sitting there and seeing that smile and that look, and, that's the coolest thing. And that's one thing that, a lot of people, they get out there, and, good for them, and good, they're not settling and all that, but you got to stop and smell the roses. That's why we do it. We go out there, we're outside, we're in God's creation, and we love doing what, we love being out there, being with your people, and just sharing that time. I'd be lying if I told you that I was all about just, I'm gonna plug my phone in. I'd be lying if I say no, go out there and, it's not, I don't want to shoot something or harvest something. Of course I do. But on the other side of the coin, it's I love just being out there, because that's what I love to do. And I think that more people need to hear that it's okay to fail, because failure is how we learn. It's okay. And that's what makes that one time where you draw back your bow and you shoot your first elk. That's what makes it so special, is because if you put so many years into it and hustled in X amount of miles to shoot that, then that's what makes it cool. If you,
and you're spot on, dude. I feel the same way. We do a video series for Wingmen, and so there's a lot of times where it's me and other guys, we're in the blind, but as often as possible, I have my kids with me. My 7-year-old, my 5-year-old love to be out there. They love to hunt. They love to be in the duck blind. They love to chase elk in September when the weather's nice with me. They just love it. My wife likes it too. We've got a little guy right now that he's 2, and I'm looking forward to getting him out in the blind now that we've got some warm weather, and we'll get out and get after it. It'd be really cool if I could find a really good honker feed and get him out with the, in the panel blind or the A-frame blind, and where he doesn't have to worry about being still, just go have fun.
Come up here, and we'll take them all.
That'd be fun. That would be definitely fun, but
we'll take them all, and we have the spots to do that. And I look at where out, if it wasn't for my dad taking me out at young ages, if it wasn't for the times where, I'm 7 years old and I'm pushing the boat off and my hands freeze the aluminum and I go underwater and I'm wet and cold, and, he packs extra clothes. If it wasn't for those times, I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
Right. Right.
I mean, that's the whole fact of the matter. If it wasn't for those times when I was out there at a young age, and it's so important this day and age when there's so much crap in the schools, there's so much crap on social media, there's so much crap everywhere on TV, on everything that our kids are being fed. It's so important to be able to bring our children, bring our youth, bring the ones who don't understand, bring them out and show them what we do.
Yep.
Because like I said, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad, my uncle, my grandfather, both my grandfathers, you know, all my uncles. I mean, we just lost my my mom's oldest brother to cancer this year, and you know, I look at the impact that he had in Cascade, Idaho for the ice fishing community, and all the people that he introduced to ice fishing out on that lake. And it's like he changed so many lives just by sharing what he loves to do. You know, we lost another one of our dear friends, one of the best elk callers and turkey callers I think I've ever met. He was a great dude who took his daughter out and absolutely loved spending that time, and we lost him in the spring, you know. And so it's like we do that for those people who can't and those who don't understand yet. And so, you know, it's just a tradition that I want to pass on. You know, I want to take my kids out on Cascade and catch perch. I want to take my kids out and have them water swat their first teal. I want to take them out and call in a turkey for them. I want to take them out and have them be successful and go through the ringer. You know, I want them to experience, just like you, the absolute pure love, tradition, and passion that the outdoors can give you. I mean, it's absolutely such a gift and such a blessing.
Oh man, you're spot on. You are spot on. But I tell you what, man, I think we need to have this conversation, more of this conversation again, maybe a hunt expo in a few weeks, and talk calls and some more stuff. And are you competing? Are you competing this year?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I figured. Well, good luck to you. Best of luck. Thank you very much for jumping on here and sharing your passion with us and talking about Slayer calls and all that stuff. Dude, it's been a great conversation. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity and the opportunity to share my feelings, my passions, my everything with you. And hopefully, you know, somebody hears this, and you know, if they ever have any questions, my door's always open. You know, anybody listening, or if I can do anything for anybody, you yourself included, anyone at Eastman's, Wingmen, if I can ever do anything, I'll take the shirt off my back for you.
I appreciate that, Cody. You're a great dude. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.